my own children walked away, laughing without a single glance back. I heard my daughter-in-law whisper it, finally free of the burden, and the rest of my family laughed with her. They thought I couldn't hear. They thought I was just the old woman who paid for their entire luxury vacation. But they had no idea what I was about to do to them. I stood there in the lobby of the Golden Sands Resort, watching my own children walk away, laughing, heading for the elevator without a single glance back. Sophia, my daughter-in-law, had just whispered something about finally being free of the burden, and they had all laughed. A gut punch. They didn't know I'd heard every single word. They didn't know I had paid for every last cent of that reservation in Clearwater, Florida, with money I'd saved for 8 solid months, money from selling my apple pies at the farmer's market every Sunday, stashing dollar after dollar in an old cookie tin I kept hidden behind the canned beans. They also had no idea what I was about to do. But let's rewind, because this whole nightmare started 3 weeks earlier, on a Tuesday afternoon when the sun was streaming warm through my kitchen window in Ohio. I was pouring my afternoon coffee, a little ritual I've had every day since I became a widow 4 years ago, when my phone rang. It was my eldest, Derek. He was using that sweet, syrupy voice he always uses when he needs something. "Mom, I've got a fantastic idea," he said, and I felt that familiar flutter of hope in my chest, the one that always came when my kids actually decided to include me in their plans. "What do you think about a big family trip for the holidays, all of us together, like the good old days?" His voice was so full of excitement I could practically see his smile through the phone. I found this gorgeous resort on the coast in Florida, pools, restaurants, activities for the kids. "It would be perfect, Mom." I put the coffee pot down, my eyes welling up with tears of pure joy. It had been so long since I'd felt included, since I'd been invited to anything more than a holiday dinner, where I just sat quietly while they all talked about their jobs, their other trips, their lives. I was always the one serving, clearing the plates, stuck in the kitchen while they all moved on to the living room. "That sounds wonderful, honey," I managed to say, trying to keep my voice steady. "When would it be?" "First week of January. 7 days, Mom. Imagine it. Me, Sophia, Robert, Chloe, all the grandkids, and you. One big happy family." He paused, and then came the hook. "There's just one tiny thing, Mom. The hotel needs one person to make the reservation for the whole group. Could you handle it? We'll Venmo you the money later." Of course, it was always like this. I was the one to put my name on the line, to handle the paperwork while they got to have all the fun. But this time, I didn't care. It was a chance to do something for them, to show them how much I loved them. "Of course, son. You can count on me." That afternoon, I called the hotel. "Golden Sands Resort, how can I help you?" "I'd like to make a reservation for 12 people, I said, my heart pounding. I'd never organized something this big. "Perfect, ma'am. The dates?" "January 2nd to the 9th. I heard the click of a keyboard. "All right. That will be 5 family suites, all inclusive. The total comes to $4,200. I stopped breathing. $4,200. My entire Social Security check is only $800 a month. My pie money was just a drop in the bucket. I didn't have it. "Ma'am, are you still there?" "Yes, sorry. Can I confirm now and pay later?" "We require a 50% deposit to confirm, ma'am. That's $2,100. I couldn't sleep that night. I just sat in my rocking chair, running the numbers over and over. I had about $50 in my purse, some emergency savings, and my wedding ring. The ring my husband George gave me 42 years ago with a small, perfect diamond that still sparkled in the light. The next day, I walked into Goldstein's jewelry downtown. Mr. Goldstein is an older man who knew my whole family. "Olivia, how are you?" "I'm doing okay, Mr. Goldstein. I came to see what you might give me for this." He examined it carefully under his loupe. "It's a lovely piece, Olivia. I can give you $800 for it." It felt like a punch to the gut. $800 for 42 years of marriage. But then I pictured Derek's smile, the thought of my whole family together, happy. It's a deal. With the money from the ring and every penny of my savings, I called the hotel and paid the deposit. The reservation was confirmed in my name with my credit card as the guarantee. 5 suites, 12 people, 7 days. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? A mother's sacrifice. If you've ever felt taken for granted by the people you love most, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't let me go through this alone. And if for some reason you think what I did was wrong and you can't subscribe, tell me why in the comments. I need to know what you're thinking. Over the next few weeks, every time I talked to Derek or Robert, they'd ask about the trip, but the money never came up. "Oh, we'll sort that out later," they'd say. "The important thing is we're all together." I kept selling pies, took on sewing jobs for neighbours, anything to scrape together enough for the final payment. My house got colder because I turned the thermostat down. I ate less, and I walked everywhere instead of taking the bus, all for their perfect family trip. The night before we left, I paid the final $2,100 on my credit card. My wedding ring, all my savings, and now a mountain of debt. But it was going to be worth it. 7 perfect days. Or so I thought. The morning of the trip, Derek was supposed to pick me up at 7 a.m. At 7:30, he finally laid on the horn out front. I grabbed my suitcase and walked out with a smile plastered on my face. In the passenger seat, Sophia was glued to her phone. My 2 youngest grandkids were in the back, staring at a tablet. "Good morning, family," I chirped. Only the kids mumbled, "Hi, Grandma." Sophia barely glanced up. The whole 3-hour drive was like that. I tried to make conversation, asking about work, about the kids. All I got back were monosyllabic grunts and half-hearted smiles. Sophia just kept texting, smirking at her screen. "Something funny?" I asked, trying to feel included. "It's my girls' group chat," she said without looking at me. "You wouldn't get it." I shut my mouth after that, just watching the country roll by, thinking about all the pies I'd sold to pay for this icy silence. When we arrived at the resort, it was breathtaking. Palm trees, manicured gardens, a gleaming white building. My 17-year-old granddaughter, Lily, was the only one who ran up and gave me a real hug. "Grandma, this place is insane," she said, her eyes sparkling. "It's going to be a wonderful week," I told her, feeling a glimmer of my earlier excitement return. We all walked into the stunning marble lobby, and I went to the front desk. "Hi, I have a reservation under Olivia Robertson," I said. The young woman smiled. "Of course, Mrs. Robertson. We've been expecting you. 5 family suites, all inclusive. Everything is in order." As she was getting the key cards, I heard my sons whispering behind me. "5 suites?" I heard Robert hiss at Derek. "I thought you said it'd be simpler." "Mom handled it," Derek replied. "We'll figure out the costs later." The receptionist handed me the keys. "The suites are on the 3rd floor, all with an ocean view. You have full access to the spa, pools, and all restaurants." "How wonderful!" I exclaimed, turning around to share the news. But they were gone, all of them. Just vanished toward the elevators, leaving me standing there. Only Lily was left, looking at me with a pained expression. "Where did everyone go?" I asked, my stomach turning to ice. They went to get settled," she stammered. We went up to the 3rd floor, but the hallway was empty. It was like they had just disappeared. "Lily, what is going on?" I asked, my voice trembling. She sighed and pulled out her phone. "Grandma, there's something you need to see. They're in a family group chat." Her voice got quiet. "It's called Drama-Free Vacation." "Grandma, they didn't want you to come." The world tilted under my feet. Lily showed me the phone. My own children's words flashed on the screen. Derek said, "We're here." The old lady handled check-in like a pro. Sophia said, "Perfect. Now we can actually enjoy ourselves without her hovering." Robert said, "Did you see how excited she was at the front desk? So cringe." Chloe also said, "Well, at least she's useful for something. Let her stay in her room watching TV while we use the spa." My blood is boiling. Is yours? This is the kind of betrayal that cuts deep. Smash that subscribe button if you believe a mother deserves respect. If you wouldn't stand by me, I want to hear your excuse in the comments below. Seriously, what possible reason is there? The words blurred. My wedding ring, my savings, 8 months of back-breaking work, all for this. To be their personal ATM, their useful old lady. "How long?" I whispered to Lily. She scrolled up. "Since the day Uncle Derek called you to suggest the trip." And then I saw the rest of their plan. Robert said, "Did you confirm the hotel lets you make changes?" Derek said, "Yeah, since it's in Mom's name, she can change anything." "Tomorrow, we'll get her to transfer the rooms to our names," Sophia said. "And on the last day, we tell her there was a billing error, and the hotel needs someone to take over the final payment. They weren't just going to ignore me, they were going to use me, and then abandon me with the entire debt." "What are you going to do?" Lily asked, tears in her eyes. The old Olivia would have cried. She would have locked herself in her beautiful ocean view suite and ordered room service, trying not to be a bother. But seeing my wedding ring slip off my finger for the last time changed something in me. Seeing their cruel words on that screen, it woke something up. My phone buzzed, a text from Derek. "Mom, we're at the beach restaurant. You can just order room service if you want. See you at dinner." I smiled, a real smile. That afternoon, while my family enjoyed the sun on my dime, I was busy. First stop, my bank. Second, the hotel manager. Third, my attorney. The game had just begun, and this time I was holding all the cards. My first call was to the bank. "I need to report a potential fraud attempt on my credit card," I told the representative, choosing my words like weapons. "I have reason to believe a family member is going to try and fraudulently dispute a $4,200 charge that I personally and voluntarily authorized for a hotel." They immediately put a protection note on my account. Any dispute would now trigger a massive investigation. Check. My second call was to the hotel manager, a kind man named Michael Anderson. I explained the entire sordid situation. He was horrified and, sadly, not entirely surprised. "What do you need, Mrs. Robertson?" he asked. "First," I said, "I need it in writing that I am the sole person who paid for and controls this reservation. Second, if anyone in my family tries to make a single change without my being present, you call me immediately." He agreed instantly, and we scheduled a meeting for 9 a.m. the next morning. Check. She's fighting back. This is the moment we've been waiting for. If you're here for this epic comeback, prove it by subscribing. Every single subscription is a vote for Team Olivia. If you're not subscribing, are you on their side? Let's hash it out in the comments. My third call was to my late husband's attorney. I told him everything. He was silent for a moment, then said, "Olivia, what your children are planning isn't just cruel. It's financial fraud and elder abuse. It's a federal offense." He emailed me a sworn statement to sign and have notarized at the hotel, confirming I paid for everything voluntarily. Checkmate. That evening, Derek knocked on my door. "Mom, we were thinking maybe it would be easier if we handled the hotel details from here on out. You know, the keys to the other rooms, just in case of an emergency." "What kind of emergency would require you to have keys to rooms that aren't yours, Derek?" I asked calmly. He stammered, flustered, and finally gave up. The cracks in their plan were already starting to show. The next morning, at my meeting with Michael, the manager, he laid it all out. "Mrs. Robertson, as the sole payer and reservation holder, you have absolute control. You can decide who stays and who leaves. You can cancel specific rooms if you wish." A wicked, beautiful idea began to form in my mind. "Michael," I said, "I want to make some changes. I want to cancel 4 of the 5 suites. Suites 301, 302, 304, and 305. I'm keeping my own, 303. His eyebrows shot up, but he just nodded. "When would you like this to be effective?" "Today. At 10 a.m., I want you to deactivate their key cards. At 11 a.m., I want hotel staff to inform them they must vacate their rooms by noon because the person who paid for the reservation has modified their stay." At 10 o'clock a.m. on the dot, I was sitting on my balcony, watching them all laughing by the pool. At that exact moment, their room keys became useless pieces of plastic. It didn't take long. At 10:11, I got a text from Lily. "Grandma, Mom is yelling at the front desk. Her key isn't working." At 10:20, Derek called me, his voice tight with panic. "Mom, there's a problem with the keys. Can you come down and fix it?" "I'm a little busy right now, son," I said sweetly. "I'm sure you'll figure it out." I hung up. At 10:58, Robert called, his voice frantic. "Mom, the hotel is saying you cancelled our rooms. That's ridiculous, right? Tell them it's a mistake." "Why would that be ridiculous, Robert?" I asked. There was a dead silence. Then his voice changed. You cancelled our rooms." "Yes," I said. "Why?" he choked out. "Because I can." And I hung up the phone. Boom! The moment of truth. Can you imagine the look on their faces? Are you loving this? Hit subscribe and that notification bell because you will not want to miss what happens next. And for the handful of you who still haven't subscribed, what's stopping you from seeing justice served? Tell me in the comments. At 11:05, there was a frantic, angry pounding on my door. I opened it to find all 4 of them, Derek, Sophia, Robert, and Chloe. their faces a storm of fury and disbelief. "What the hell is going on?" Sophia shrieked. "I cancelled your rooms," I said calmly. "You are no longer welcome on my trip." "Your trip?" Chloe sputtered. "I thought this was a family trip." "I thought so too," I replied, "until I found out you don't consider me part of the family." I held up my phone and showed them the screenshots of their drama-free vacation. I watched the color drain from their faces as they read their own words. The lies, the cruelty, the plot to defraud me. "Mom," Robert begged, "I know we messed up, but you can't just leave us stranded. We have kids." "The same kids you plan to keep away from me?" I shot back. "And what about the bank, Robert? Did you start that fraudulent dispute yet?" His face went completely white. He knew that I knew everything. "Fine," Sophia screamed, her face contorted with rage. "You want to be a martyr? Go ahead, but don't come crawling back when you're lonely again." Her words were meant to be daggers, to play on my deepest fear. But I just walked to the door and held it open. "Sophia, I would rather be completely alone than surrounded by people who despise me." That's when Lily appeared in the doorway. "What do you know about this?" Chloe snapped at her own daughter. "I know everything," Lily said, her voice shaking but strong. "I know you used Grandma to pay for everything. I know you made fun of her. I know you were going to scam her." Then she delivered the final blow. "Grandma sold her wedding ring to pay for this trip. She sold Grandpa George's ring for you." You could have heard a pin drop. Derek sank into a chair like his legs had given out. We didn't know," Robert whispered. "You didn't know because you never asked," I told them. "You just assumed I had an endless supply of money for your whims." A gentle knock came from the open door. It was Michael, the manager. "Excuse me, Mrs. Robertson. The taxi for the family is here. Your bags are waiting in the lobby." "Taxi?" Chloe asked, confused. "Are you leaving too?" "Yes," I said, picking up my pre-packed suitcase. "Lily and I are going to another hotel, one where we can enjoy the vacation I paid for." My son stood there, defeated. My daughters-in-law were seething. My grandchildren were confused and sad. I knelt down to them. "I love you all," I said. "Someday, when you're older, you'll understand why Grandma had to do this." As the taxi pulled away from the grand entrance of the resort, I looked back. I could see them, standing on the curb with their mountain of luggage, already arguing. "Do you regret it, Grandma?" Lily asked softly. I thought about it. I thought about 42 years of marriage condensed into $800. I thought about months of saving and a lifetime of putting myself last. "No, honey," I said, taking her hand. "I only regret that it took me 65 years to finally value myself. For the first time in my life, I had put myself first. It was terrifying and it was liberating. But most of all, it just felt right. She did it. She chose herself. This is a lesson for all of us. If this story moved you, the single most powerful way you can support more stories like this is to subscribe. It takes 1 second. If you made it this far and still aren't subscribed, I have to ask, why? Drop a comment and let me know what you're really thinking.